Yes, guys, I'm back. I'm back with another one, and we're going to be having a little look at BTC today. Have a little look at Ethereum, but we all know that, they correlate most of the time anyway. So, whatever BTC is doing, Ethereum's going to be doing. I'm going to be looking at GBTC, which is Grayscale's fund. And we're going to be having a look at the Ethereum fund that Grayscale holds. So we'll just get straight into it. So what I've got on my screen at the minute, this is just a trade that I took. It was basically here when I took the trade. This is in YB USDT. The main reason for that trade was, we had this weekly volume profile here from the Monday, and, we seem to be getting rejected here. We had a volume gap around here on the daily. So we'll go into the daily. So we had a major volume gap here in this area, which got filled eventually. And then it ran all the way down to the TP. So that was basically what I was looking at. I was looking at that volume gap. And we came in with, we dropped away. We then pushed back into it. And a lot of people here, this is why I don't use candle patterns. It's the main reason I don't use candle patterns. See that there? That's an engulfing. So many people are expecting it to pump up towards these areas. It never did. I took that trade in there and I got an absolutely beautiful gain from it. 11%. And it's still going now. I fully closed the trade. I'm not really interested anymore. Yeah, I could have gained another 8%. But my risk to reward was basically a 1 or 2. And I got that. You could have held on to a little bit of it and got a 1 to 3. But you don't know when it's going to stop or continue. So I was happy with that there. My 1 to 2. I was happy with it. Took my profit. So we'll go straight into BTC. We'll have a little look at the GBTC chart first. So looking at GBTC here, the reason I've shorted BTC, and we can go over onto the BTC chart and have a little look at the BTC chart. So the reason I've shorted BTC here is we have this value area right here. My other short that I actually took in BTC was originally around 115k, and my stop were up here. So if it had gone up from where I've took my short, it's 4 or 5% from there. Risk management 101, absolutely perfect. The reason I found this next level was that value area. So let me try and find the value. There's the value area there, which is the point of control and the value area low. So that was the reason I took that short in there. We also had a volume gap. Let's take that off. So we had a volume gap here as well, which gave me extra confluence in that zone there. And I waited for it to come back to tag, and then I took that short there in BTC, and I am up beautifully on that trade, nearly 9%. Times, I think I had it at times 15. Decent gain, really decent gain from that. So yeah, that was an absolutely beautiful trade, and I'm still holding that trade because personally, I think we are going to come down towards the 85k area. What we could do is, at the minute we have created another volume gap here. So what might occur today is a little push back into this area, maybe a wick through, but then eventually we are coming down towards here. Just ignore all this crap down here. It's crap. It's crap. It's like most of the YouTube channels out there. They're all full of crap. So that's what I'm looking at. in BTC, possible pushback towards 100k. I may even add to that trade there, looking for around the 85k mark. The reason for that is there is an untested monthly point of control down here where we have expanded rapidly from that area, and we expanded really, really rapidly. We didn't just, expand. That's a 70% move. And there is another area I'm looking at. I'm not going to point that out yet, but from here, you're not going to find a top. We spoke about it yesterday in our Discord live. We spoke about that, and it's very, very hard to find a top in a market. And if you do, you've got lucky. Don't say, I knew it was going to do that, and blah, blah. You didn't know. Trading's probabilities, it's basically you are looking for areas of confluence. Originally, I was looking for a long in BTC down here. The way it's moved, don't really want to be looking for that long. Potentially, excuse me, I'll move that path. Once we do this move here, and we come into here, we might wick into this zone. If we get bought back up from that wick and we do that, then yeah, there's a potential long on in BTC in here. I just feel like there's a lot of liquidity lying in these areas. We also have an untested volume gap here, which is a significant move. So we've got that there, and that could really drop BTC into there. We get some accumulation, and then we take off again. I just take off these. 1 second. Let's remove that again. So if we get that sort of move, there's only one thing that could really take BTC back to these high ends up in here, and that is there's an untested weekly point of control up in that. And this is why I love volume profiles. You don't need to go out actively searching for trades. These volume profiles, they are the money indicator. I heard somebody say this the other week. It's the money indicator. There's no RSI on my chart. There's no other crap drawings. There's no rectangle, forward, backwards, backflip, upside down, triangle formation, descending triangle, upsending triangle, whatever else you want to call them. There's none of that on my charts. It is just clear as day, my charts at the minute. So, there is significant areas that we could come back to. So, like I say, we've got another area here where we're potentially going to bounce from, which is around 88 to 92-ish K area. I'm potentially going to be closing out most of my trade there, which is here to here. So I'm going to potentially be closing out most of my trade here, which is going to be an absolutely beautiful gain when it gives me the movement that I've actually seen. That 14%. But in my other account where I've took that trade there, so far, that's 17% gain. Down in here, 22% unleveraged. So, you do a 10 or 15 times leverage, you're getting an absolutely lovely gain. And all I've done is I've just waited for areas to come to me. I've not tried to short every single move that's come in. I've waited for the areas. So, I'm going to be still waiting for these areas. And, excuse me, my apologies. What I do is I wait for these areas. I'm not the guy that thinks, oh, I need to get into this trade now. Bitcoin's bottomed. Buy Bitcoin, buy Really, I don't know if we have bottomed yet. Like I say, I'm trading probabilities, but there is several gaps below us that need to be tested because it's inefficient at the minute. And you've seen this before with BTC. You know, it leaves all these gaps and everybody's just ultra bullish. And then generally what happens is, you know, you get that 31% correction. Same here, you know, you're moving up. Great move up, fantastic move up. Absolutely lovely move up there. You know, 70% gain. But, you know, when you keep trying to short these little moves, and you keep trying to short these little moves, why not just wait for that big move? You know, like I've waited for that big move, and I got the big move. And potentially the big move's coming into this area here, around 84k. So I'm happy with that. I'm perfectly happy with you know, a 20% gain in BTC. Sorry, I'm just having my morning coffee. But yeah, you know, this is something that you're going to want to watch out for. So, and at the minute, I've got, you know, I'm DCAing in my spot. You know, I think I've got a long in here around 96, and I got a long around 92. I've got a long around 84. I've got a long around 77, I think it is. And then a little bit further down here, I've got a long at 70. And I've even got a long all the way down towards 50s. And I'm going to be building that long because eventually BTC is going to come back up this area, you know, once it's had its correction. And if, you know, I'm not saying I'm going to time the bottom, but if I time that perfectly, that's 50% gain. So, you know, it's absolutely beautiful. So say you're putting, I don't know, time sticking $200 every time it's coming down into here, and I've got 10 buys at $200, and then I get 50% on top of that. You know, that's going to be a decent amount of money that I'm going to gain. And then eventually we are going to go into the bear. I'd really like us to see us do this move now, come back down into here, and then have the ultra push. One last time, all-time high. And the reason I'm looking at potentially going back up to around the 140, 150k mark after we've done this correction is, I think it's this one. Yeah. So we've got this coin glass liquidation heat map. And what I can see is around these 130 to 140s, we have all this area here to take out. The reason I think we're going to come down into here and potentially down into here, we've got a point of control here. We've also got all these areas. You know, there is a big long there that it's potentially gonna come for. We've also got these areas here that potentially it wants to come for. So you see that area there, 105k. You know, that guy's underwater now. So he's going to be panicking. So what we want to see is we want to see it coming into here, wicking all these areas out, and then eventually we're going to, you know, come and take some of these areas out as well. So that's what I'm looking at in BTC right now. I don't really know what else I want to be looking at, because BTC at the minute is really, you know, the bread and butter. It's the one that's going to make you the correct amount. So you know, you want to be looking at that. So yeah, you know, this is going to be the bread and butter. We can actually have a little look. Like I say, I was pointing out grayscale and, you know, all these volume gaps that we've got at the minute. You know, we've got another volume gap there. I think that lines up with around 84k around this area. So potentially that's what we're going to be looking at. ALCH, I had this area pointed out here in ALCH. Potentially we're going to retest that area again. It is falling down at the minute. I managed to get in here. I was expecting a retest. I did say that in the group. I was expecting a retest into there, potentially wicking that out, and then the fall. Somewhat like that. Many will call it an M pattern. It's not an M pattern. It's just literally coming up to tag some more sell orders and then eventually dropping off. So we might not even come back into that area now because we've tagged the volume area once again here. You know, I like to use these volume areas. So many would have used this volume area here. You don't need to. The reason that this volume area right here works, that volume area there, why that volume area works is because there is a point of control there. And what happens is it comes in, tags that point of control and closes below the point of control. That's exactly what it's done right there. Instead of trying to short it here, you know, many will call them a bearish fair value gap. Did it close below that area? No. Was there any confluence in that area to tell you that it should close? No. Was there here? Yes, because there was a point of control there. So you need to keep that in mind. We've also got another one here. This is a weekly volume profile from the Monday to the next Monday. That area there, this here, is now untested. So I am looking at, if we get that spike back up, yeah, lovely. You know, I can add to my trade. If not, if we start to do this, falling below that area, then that's the next area of interest for me. And then we've got a volume gap right here. Why would that volume gap be significant? Because we have a weekly point of control there. A bit further down, there is an area here that I had pointed out. We've got a monthly volume area there. We have tested it in the April. So, and then we retested it in September. So the likelihood of it actually coming back to this one is very, very high. Anything above, I've looked, there's nothing up in here. I can even get one from the Monday to the Monday. Look, it's there. And it's already been tested several times. So there's no real reason for it to go back up to them areas. Apart from people, you know, think that it is gonna. So that's a trade that I was looking at. YB I've already shown you. Velvet never came to my area, so I'm not interested. Until it tagged that area, I am not interested. But if it does tag that area, I will be building a short in that area because we have the volume area, the value area. We have a volume zone here. So, you know, just like that there, the way it closed below. So I'll just wait for it to come back into that area. If it comes back into that area, absolutely lovely. I'll take that short. There's my TP1, you know. And then there's my TP2, all the way back down into there. I will wait. I am not a guy. Well, you can see here, weekly, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute. There ain't no 1 minute chart on there. I'm not interested in the 1 minute chart. I want to be able to relax when I take my trades. I don't want to be biting my nails and thinking, oh, please come down, please come down, please come down. Because I've really got no strategy. I've got no confluence in why I'm taking these trades. ICP, the reason I'm looking at this area, we've got a big volume area here. There's only one thing that's worrying me with ICP, is this here. But the good thing about it is we've got an untested hock up in this area here. So to me, this here to build along would be absolutely perfect because we've not tested that monthly yet, the November monthly. So, you know, even if we go to a weekly one where we are right now, You know, we're at the value area low. Let me just close that one for 1 second and I'll get another weekly up. So there's the Monday to the Monday. Look how that lines up perfectly where I want to take my long. It aligns up perfectly. And my protector is here. So, you know, that potentially is an absolutely beautiful gain from here to there. You know, that's 100% move. So I'll wait. I'm not worried. I will wait for that area to be tagged. I'll wait. I'm not just gonna ape into a trade because oh no, I'm gonna miss the trade. And this is what you need to realize. Stop aping into trades. This is why you keep blowing accounts. I wait for areas. I'm not bothered if it moves. You know, some people are happy with that. Some people are happy with that little gain there. I want that. I want that big move. I want this 100% move. I want that. So I'll wait for my area. And I will continuously wait and wait and wait. So we can have a little look at total as well. And total, you know, these volume profiles, I only use these volume profiles on here for a simple reason that I can get levels from the volume profile. So like here, I've got a level, which is a value area, which we are in at the minute. We are in that value area, which is a monthly value area where we significantly chopped around. I still think this area is valid, 2.7 trillion, before we do eventually come up to around the 5 trillion mark, which will bring BTC up to around 140, 150k. So I'll just wait until we get into this area. Everybody wants to long here. Nobody wants to long down here. Nobody wants to long down here. Nobody wanted BTC at 16k. Everybody wants BTC at 100k. It's a weird, weird world that we live in, but nobody wanted BTC here at the bottom because everybody thought BTC was going to go to zero. And what happened? Everybody sat on the sidelines, think, no, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. And then bang. And now every nation, every state, every country are buying BTC up here. It's absolutely baffling to me. Completely baffling. But if that's what they want to do, let them do that. Like I say, I've got stacked orders all the way down. I'm going to call it there. And if you do want out, or you do want any specific videos or anything like that for me to do, just whip a comment down and I'll go through it. I reply to every comment. If I get, if somebody comments in the comment section below, I reply to it. I'm not like all these other sausage channels out there that are just ultra bullish, always bullish, 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 bullish. I'll show you both sides of the market because I'm happy with that. I look at the market from both sides because if you're a trader, you should be able to short and long a market. You should not just have one main bias because Donald Trump is president or so-and-so's buying Bitcoin or this guy's buying Bitcoin or whatever. And also another fact for people, what people probably don't know, Michael Saylor has been liquidated 3 times. Not just with Bitcoin, but, in his lifetime of investing and things like that. So that's a fact that people probably don't know. So, don't follow him. He's not the money. We need to follow the charts. That's the money. The volume profile is the money profile. It is the money indicator. So yeah, all my links are below. Come join us in Discord. Come and check out what we're doing in Discord. It's absolutely fantastic. And yeah, that's it from me. And I will catch you in the next one. Happy trading, guys.